up, you guys? It's Avery and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm excited because I'm going to be starting a new series. This is a series in which I'm going to read a book and then watch the movie and compare. I have a few different books on my shelf that I haven't read yet that I know have movie adaptations, and so I just thought like this would be a fun video to do because some of these movies and books are pretty popular, and so I thought it would be fun to read the book first and watch the movie, see how they compare, see if I like them. So the first book that I'm going to do, and the subject of today's video, is Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple. And I've had this book sitting on my shelf for quite some time. I got it in my first ever Free Little Libraries video, and it's been sitting on my shelf, and I just decided I want to read it because I know it's good, I've heard it's good, and I know that there's a movie starring Cate Blanchett, and then watch the movie and, you know, kind of get my thoughts on that as well. So this story follows a 15-year-old girl who is planning a trip to Antarctica, family trip to Antarctica, when her agoraphobic mother, Bernadette, disappears. We literally don't know what happens to her. She just disappears, and her daughter, named B, tries to figure out where she's gone. And she basically goes through her emails, invoices, school memos to reveal the secret past that Bernadette has been hiding for decades. So I'm gonna start reading, but I'm gonna keep you guys updated as I make my way through and let you know what I think about it. Let's go. Okay, I'm 44 pages into Where'd You Go, Bernadette so far, and it's so funny. I'm already really into it. Bernadette is a really funny character. She's super relatable. I don't know, I'm really intrigued to see where the story's gonna go. I'm really interested in Bernadette as a character, what's happened to her in her past to make her the way she is now. Just the whole Seattle elite, rich PTA parents vibe has been really funny. Audrey so far is she's so dumb, and I just wonder how she's gonna play into Bernadette's disappearance. And it really started off with a bang, drew you in right away, which is always really nice because, you know, sometimes books take a while to get into it, and so far it's been really good. Y'all, I'm enjoying this book so much. It's so funny. Makes me laugh so hard. What I'm really excited for is to watch the movie because some of these scenes are hilarious and I just want to see them visualized. I want to see them happen. And so I'm really hoping that the movie does them justice. When the storm hits Audrey's house during the brunch, that is absolutely hilarious to me, and I'm so excited to see that. I really hope it's in the movie. This whole book is ridiculous. All these characters are so ridiculous and they're so funny. Bernadette is so relatable. She's talking to her daughter and she says, "I need you to know how hard it is for me sometimes. Mom had her hand on mine." "What's hard?" "The banality of life," she said. So true and so relatable and so funny, and I love Bernadette so far. Y'all, I'm literally here giggling because B just slapped Audrey and is going off on her, talking about how her 8th grade son is a drug dealer and her husband is a drunk. This 14-year-old popping off on Audrey, which she deserves it because she's psycho. It's so funny. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Okay, so just read about the whole incident with her house, her 20-mile house that she built, and then the horrible man next door who bought it and tore it down after she spent 3 years laboring over it. So super sad, and then they literally upped and left and moved to Seattle. So that's kind of this event that she's been referring to as this big horrible event, and that sucks a lot. I just can't imagine pouring my heart and soul into a house like that, and then her literal nemesis buys it without her knowing and tears it down. It's crazy. This book is crazy. I'm only a third of the way through, and I just can't wait to see what else happens. You know, when a book just draws you in so much that it's like 3 hours later and you're like, wow, it's 1 in the morning, I should go to bed. That's what's happened with this one so far, but very worth it because I'm hooked and it's so fun to read. Hey, what's up, you guys? I have finished Where'd You Go, Bernadette? Loved it. Absolutely loved this book. I wasn't expecting to love it so much, but I think I just didn't really know what it was going to be about and how funny it was going to be. But it was so funny. Like, I laughed through so much of it, and parts of it were heartwarming, and it was great. Really, really great. So my no spoiler review is that it is a really fun book that deals with kind of a mother-daughter dynamic, as well as mental health and elite society in Seattle of a bunch of rich people who suck but who are really funny at the same time, and Bernadette like hates them. One thing I was surprised about is that she doesn't disappear until like the last part of the book. The majority of the book she's present, and which is really nice because she's such a fun character, and she disappears and you figure out what happens to her at the end of the book. And so I really appreciated that because I liked having her, you know, have her page time. To wrap up my no spoiler review, really great book about a family. There goes my bookmark. Where'd you go, bookmark? Bernadette, great character, and they were all very like quirky, had their own personalities. It's a pretty quick read too. It's an easy read, which is nice. I really just kind of flew through it in a few days. I like the setup of it. It's a lot of like, you see emails and like text messages. I guess it's mainly like emails back and forth between characters, which is kind of like a fun setup, as well as like a normal narrative style setup in there also. Overall, I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was hilarious, and I thought it was heartwarming and such a good book. I'm really excited to watch the movie. I think that Cate Blanchett is going to do a great job as Bernadette. I watched the trailer for it to kind of hype myself up, and she looks like she's going to be hilarious. Kristen Wiig as Audrey looks like that's also going to be hilarious. Kristen Wiig is so funny. Looks like parts of it have stayed pretty true to the book with the trailer, so very, very excited to watch it. Now I'm going to move on to the spoiler portion of this review. I'm just going to talk about some specific things that I liked and disliked. Bernadette was so relatable. I took pictures of some specific parts of the book, things that she said that were just so on point. I was talking to my mom about the book, and I told her, I was like, Bernadette is so relatable. And then I was like, yeah, she's like definitely got struggles with mental illness, but like so relatable. And my mom was just laughing. She's like, okay, girl. Here's something else Bernadette says. Sometimes these cars have Idaho plates, and I think, what the hell is a car from Idaho doing here? Then I remember, that's right, we neighbor Idaho. I moved to a state that neighbors Idaho, and any life that might still be left to me kind of goes poof. She hates everything, which, you know, as we learn later, she does struggle with mental health and definitely needs help, and she's dealing with kind of like this trauma that happened to her when her house got knocked down, and she never really gets over it, which is not healthy. It's not a healthy way to live. The way she like just views the world and like this pessimistic outlook is so hilarious and so relatable. I also really, really loved how Audrey was the one who helped Bernadette escape at the end. That was such an amazing like twist, and don't get me wrong, Audrey is cray, but she really redeemed herself by helping Bernadette, and at least she became self-aware at the end, and she was like, oh my gosh, I can't let them lock Bernadette up for running over my foot, which didn't actually happen, and making all this stuff up about her, which, you know, wasn't actually true. So she kind of redeemed herself a little bit, even though she's like high-key crazy. But I appreciated that. That really made me laugh, that Audrey was the one who saved Bernadette in the end. So loved that. I will say that the ending was a little anticlimactic for me. I just was maybe expecting her to have done something crazier than Antarctica and getting off on that weird island and staying there. But at the same time, I was glad that she was like getting her groove back on, and she got excited about another architecture project. So At the same time, I was like, it's a little underwhelming. But I also appreciated that she didn't just abandon her family. She thought that her daughter was getting her letters and they just didn't make it to her. So this whole time everyone thinks that she's just been abandoned. But no, Bernadette was just vibing in Antarctica. Is it a little fake to go to Antarctica without your daughter and who like wanted to go on the trip? Yes. But at the same time, she had just been ambushed. So she wasn't in her right headspace. So I understand that. One thing I also didn't love, and I think would be great if the movie didn't add this part, is that Sulin becomes pregnant. And that just feels unnecessary for me. I already didn't like that the husband cheated on her, even though it was one time, and we're led to believe the majority of the book that they've like fallen in love, but we just find out that Sulin is just crazy. And that all that unraveling was really funny. So I was hoping that the pregnancy also wasn't real, that maybe she had just like made up that she was pregnant. But no, I think she really is pregnant. And so that just kind of sucks, because even though I think Bernadette is going to be able to forgive him and get past the fact that he cheated on her, now they're always going to have like to be in Sulin's life, and there's this baby. And I just kind of wish that that whole subplot wasn't there. It just seems a little unnecessary to me. And so if they just nixed that out of the movie, I think that would be great. But those are my thoughts on Where'd You Go, Bernadette. Really, really, really enjoyed the book. Thought it was hilarious. I don't think I can emphasize that enough. The whole book is just ridiculous. All the characters are ridiculous in the best way possible. 5 stars from me. I'm gonna watch the movie and I'm gonna come to you with an update about how it was, if I think it lived up to the hype. I'm gonna make like Bernadette and Split. Here we go.
Bernadette! Oh my! Oh, did you see that? No. Did you see that? Oh my! You okay? Are you Are you okay? I'm crying. Oh God.
She said, I'm crying. She was literally on the sidewalk. Mood. Literally mood.
I just need you to know how hard it is for me sometimes.
What's hard?
The banality of life.
That's the line I was literally just talking about. So funny. She's not wrong. She never misses, not once. So I watched the movie, as you can tell from the previous clips, and I really enjoyed it. I'll give a little spoiler-free review of the movie, and then I'll talk about some of the specific book-to-movie adaptations that they did that I liked and didn't like. But overall, I thought it was a really, really good adaptation of the book. Pretty much all of the scenes in the movie were straight from the book. There were a lot of lines that were like word for word from the book, which was really cool, you know, having liked so many of those lines. I will say it wasn't quite as funny as the book. The book really just had more outrageous things happen, and the characters were more outrageous. Audrey and Sulin were both super like psycho in the book, and they weren't as crazy in the movie. But overall, I think Bernadette was a really great interpretation of Bernadette. I thought Cate Blanchett did a good job. She was super likable, super relatable. Every time she did anything or said anything, I was like, yes, so true, queen, so true. So overall, I think it's a good movie. It's a good, kind of funny, heartwarming movie for the family, for just you, for anyone. Definitely recommend reading the book and watching the movie. So now to talk about some of the specific book to movie adaptations. The first thing that kind of surprised me was right at the beginning of the movie, we see her in Antarctica on a kayak. It's like the opening shot. And then it goes 5 weeks earlier and flashes to the majority of the movie. And so if you haven't read the book, then you kind of already know where she goes. Like the whole title of the movie is Where'd You Go, Bernadette? And it's like, you know, from the beginning shot. You're like, oh, she went to Antarctica. So I thought that was just interesting when that was the opening shot of the movie, that was kind of like Okay, interesting choice we made there. The house was perfect. It was literally exactly how I imagined it in the book. The whole property was exactly how I imagined it. They really got that like right on the nose. I really liked how they nixed the whole Sulin getting pregnant storyline. I was glad they didn't include that, and I was glad that they just kind of cut Sulin and Elgin's whole relationship. We see that she's like kind of into him, but nothing actually transpires between the two. And so I appreciated that because that whole subplot was like a little unnecessary. In the book, it was funny to read about her being obsessed with him, but then the way it all panned out wasn't my favorite, so I appreciated that that was not in the movie. I'm not trying to be negative because I really thought this was a really good adaptation of the book, and it really did it very well. But another thing that they changed that I just thought, you know, wasn't the best was in the book when the intervention is happening, Bernadette can't escape out the window because she's up on like the second floor. But Audrey figures out what's happening and has this like come to Jesus moment and like rushes over and saves Bernadette like with a ladder and rescues her out of her house. And that was so unexpected and so funny that I don't know why they didn't do that in the movie, because I feel like that would have been so cute. I was talking to my mom about it because she's just seen the movie. She hasn't read the book. And so I told her about that and she was like, oh my gosh, that's so good. They should have done that. And I was like, I know. Overall, I think Audrey's character would have been really better if she was just crazier. And she's so funny in the book that it would have been really funny just to see her act wild. I mean, the whole running over her foot thing was pretty funny and they did that well, but yeah, I think we could have gone for like a bigger Audrey. But overall, I think that they did a good job. Obviously, there's some things that you literally just can't put into a movie. For example, in the book, Bernadette is missing from their lives for like weeks on end. And they really actually believe that she's dead. And so that didn't happen in the movie. They pretty much know that she's gone off to Antarctica from the beginning and they chase after her right away. And even though there's like a slight moment where they think maybe she got drunk and fell off the boat, they don't actually think she's like dead like they do in the book. Their reunion was like still emotional, but it's not quite as emotional as them thinking that she's literally dead in the book and then finally reuniting. Whereas in the movie, it's like, all right, y'all have only not seen each other for a couple days. Like, let's chill. But, you know, they can't do all that in a movie. So I think the way they did it is still fine. They still followed most of the plot. And so, yeah, it was a great adaptation. Great book. If I had to pick one, I would say the book is better than the movie just because the book had so much more funniness in it. Humor in it. The characters were like a little more unhinged in the book, which I really thought was funny. But I think the movie is a great adaptation. I think that Cate Blanchett is a great Bernadette, and I thought the movie was great also. Okay, that is it for my review of Where'd You Go, Bernadette, the book and the movie, and the adaptation of the book to the movie. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm hoping to maybe make this like a series on my channel where I read a book, do a review of the book, and then watch the movie or TV series or whatever it is, and then just talk about the two, because I have a few books that I know are adaptations, so I think that this could be kind of a fun thing to do. So stay tuned for more of these videos, maybe in the future. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me in the future. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Thanks so much. Whoa, that was in English. Oh my gosh.